so are you ready to dive into Atomic Habits with us?
Always ready for a good habit deep dive.
This book by James Clear, it's all about like building good habits and breaking bad ones.
Yeah, but not like, those crazy overnight makeovers you see everywhere.
Exactly. It's more about those small changes, right?
It is, yeah. Consistency and like how these tiny shifts can make a difference.
And get this, there's this fascinating idea from the book. What if focusing on like your system was more important
For achieving a goal.
Yeah. Like more than obsessing over the goal itself.
Oh, yeah. This book really changes how you think about habits.
It does. So why are habits so important in the first place? Like what makes them the foundation of, well, everything?
Habits are like, they're like the invisible architecture of our lives.
Wow.
They impact everything we do, like how productive we are at work.
Makes sense.
How we manage stress, how we connect with people, even how we see ourselves.
Like our self-image.
Yeah, it's like, think of them as these scripts, automated ones that run in the background, constantly influencing our thoughts.
Ooh, that's pretty deep.
Yeah, feelings and actions.
Okay, so if we can figure out how to write that script, we can kind of control the whole story.
Exactly, and that's where James Clear's concept comes in.
The systems over goals thing.
Yeah, that's the one.
I always thought setting those big, audacious goals was the key.
Goals are important, yeah, don't get me wrong.
Okay, sure.
But Clear argues that just getting fixated on the outcome, it can backfire.
Oh, how so?
It's like trying to launch a rocket.
Okay, I'm listening.
That's your goal, right?
All right.
But without first building a strong launch pad.
Ooh, that's a good analogy. I like that.
Yeah, that's your system.
And the rocket's not going anywhere without it.
Nope. Imagine how far that rocket would get.
Not very far at all. I get it. So when we only think about the end goal, it can feel a bit overwhelming.
Totally. And discouraging, especially when we, hit a snag.
Which always happens.
Always. And systems, they're like the antidote to that.
Okay, so instead of focusing on, let's say, writing a bestseller.
Which is the goal.
Right. What if we shifted our focus to, let's say, writing for like 30 minutes every morning?
Exactly. That's the system.
So you're creating a framework.
Yeah, a framework for consistency.
Which leads to progress without the pressure of, everything having to be perfect.
You got it.
I see. It's like taking the pressure off the big win and celebrating those little victories along the way.
Yeah, the little victories.
But how do we actually change those habits that are already like ingrained in us? Where do we even begin?
That's where the 4 laws of behavior change come in.
Okay, now you've got my attention. Tell me more.
Think of them as 4 keys.
4 keys?
Yeah, to unlocking those stubborn habit doors.
I love a good framework. So what's the first key?
Make it obvious.
Make it obvious, okay.
We have to create clear cues that trigger the behavior we want.
Like a reminder?
Exactly. Imagine you want to drink more water.
Yeah.
Simple, right? So you put a full water bottle on your desk. Can't miss it.
It's right there.
Yeah. A visual cue prompting you to reach for it.
Makes sense. Eliminating those out of sight, out of mind moments. What's the next key?
Make it attractive. We're drawn to things we like, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Think about it. Would you rather eat a salad that's delicious and colorful?
Or a bland, boring one?
Exactly.
I'm going for the delicious and colorful option every time.
Me too. So how do we make those habits more appealing?
That is the question.
Let's say exercise.
Okay, a classic one.
You're trying to make it a habit, but you dread the treadmill.
I can relate.
Turn it into a podcast club. Only listen to your favorite show while working out.
I love that. So you're pairing something you have to do with something you want to do.
Exactly. Find ways to associate the habit with enjoyment.
Make it something you look forward to.
Yeah.
Okay, we've made it obvious, we've made it attractive, but what about making it easier? I know for me, just the thought of starting a new habit, it can feel like a lot.
Totally. And that's where the third key comes in. Make it easy. The easier it is, the more likely we'll stick with it.
I like the sound of that.
It's about reducing that friction. Want to make reading a habit?
I do.
Keep a book on your bedside table.
So it's right there.
Easy reach. Can't get to the gym in the morning. Pack your bag the night before. Lay out your clothes.
I am all about streamlining.
It's all about that.
Eliminate that decision fatigue.
Yes.
Okay, so 3 keys down, 1 to go. What's the final key to making those habits last?
The 4th key is make it satisfying.
Okay, satisfying.
We're more likely to repeat something if it's rewarding.
Oh, absolutely. We're all about those rewards.
Imagine you've been working out consistently for a whole week. Treat yourself. A massage, new workout gear.
Something to celebrate those small wins.
Exactly. Celebrate the progress.
But it's not just about those external rewards, right? What about that feeling you get when you stick to a routine, that feeling of accomplishment?
That internal satisfaction is key. And it leads us to another big element, the power of identity.
Ooh, okay. So how does our sense of self tie into habit formation?
Clears argues that real change often begins with changing how we see ourselves,
Interesting.
embodying the identity of the person you want to become.
So instead of thinking I'm trying to quit smoking, I should think I am a non-smoker.
Exactly. Align your actions with that identity, and you create this positive feedback loop.
Because you're acting like a non-smoker.
You got it. The more you act in line with that image, the stronger it becomes.
So you're basically rewiring your brain.
Kind of. It's less about tricking your brain and more about aligning your actions with what you want.
Makes sense. And that shift can impact not just habits, but also how we feel about ourselves.
Our self-esteem, overall well-being, yeah.
This is fascinating. So we've talked about the framework for change, the identity piece, but what about the science behind how habits actually form in our brains? What's going on in there?
That's where the habit loop comes in.
Okay, break it down for me. What's the habit loop?
It's this loop in our brains, this neurological loop. It explains how habits become automatic, almost subconscious.
Like second nature. Okay, so what are the steps involved in this loop?
4 key stages.
Yeah.
Cue, craving, response, reward. Think of someone reaching for a sugary snack when stressed.
Classic example.
The feeling of stress, that's the cue.
So the cue triggers the whole thing.
Right, it kicks off the cycle.
And then the craving is?
The craving is that desire driving the habit. In this case, comfort. That quick fix the sugary snack seems to give.
It's not just about the act of eating, but also the feeling behind it.
You got it, the emotional need.
So the craving leads to the response, which is actually eating the snack.
Exactly. And then finally, the reward.
Which is the benefit from the habit.
Right. In this case, the taste of the snack or the temporary relief from stress. And that reward, it reinforces the whole loop. Makes you more likely to repeat it next time the cue pops up.
So it becomes a cycle.
It does.
So if we can figure out what the cue and the craving are, we can break that cycle.
You can, yeah. And choose a different response, a healthier one.
It's like we have the secret decoder ring for our own behavior.
I like that.
And Atomic Habits gives us the tools to use that decoder ring, right?
It does. Using those 4 laws of behavior change we talked about.
So it's about understanding how habits work and then using that knowledge to redesign them.
Align them with our goals, and even more importantly, who we want to be.
It's about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
But there's one more piece to this habit puzzle, right?
There is, yeah. One that Atomic Habits really emphasizes.
And that is?
The power of our environment. It's not just about willpower.
Oh, tell me more about this.
It's about setting ourselves up for success from the start.
So it's like you are what you eat, but also you are what you surround yourself with.
You got it.
So how can our environment sabotage or support our habits? Give me some examples.
Imagine your kitchen counter, always full of junk food.
Hard to resist.
It's going to be tough to resist, right?
Yeah.
But if you surround yourself with healthy options, fridge full of produce, pre-cut veggies.
You're making the healthy choice the easy choice.
Exactly. And this applies to everything. Want to exercise more? Lay out your workout clothes the night before. No excuses in the morning.
Oh, I like that. What about reading?
Struggling to read more. Designate a cozy spot for reading, good lighting, stack of books ready to go.
I love it.
Yeah.
So willpower matters, but it's way easier to stick to those good intentions when your environment is working with you, not against you.
Right. And that brings us to another great strategy from the book.
Oh, lay it on me. What else is there?
The 2-minute rule.
2-minute rule. Okay.
Simple but powerful. It's about making new habits less daunting.
How so?
You start with a version of the habit that takes less than 2 minutes to do.
Okay, so instead of a marathon, I start with just putting on my running shoes.
Exactly. If it's meditation, start with just sitting quietly, focusing on your breath for 2 minutes.
Make that initial step super easy.
So easy you can't say no.
I can get behind that.
It's about lowering that barrier to entry, building momentum.
I love it.
Then, once you've got that 2-minute version down, you gradually increase it, the duration, the intensity over time.
It's like tricking yourself into good habits.
It's all about making it easy to get started.
This is such a great reminder that small changes can make a big difference.
They really can.
But what about those times when we slip up?
We all do.
We miss a day or two. Does that mean we failed?
Not at all. One of the best things about Atomic Habits is it's about self-compassion.
Giving yourself a break.
Yeah. Embracing the fact that we're not perfect.
So slip-ups are going to happen.
They are. It's how we respond to them that matters.
So instead of beating ourselves up for that missed workout or that extra slice of cake, we focus on getting back on track.
Yes, quickly. It's about progress, not perfection.
And even those small steps, when we do them consistently,
They lead to incredible changes.
it's inspiring to think about.
It is.
We've only just scratched the surface here, but I feel like we've laid the groundwork for understanding habits.
Yeah.
Not just what they are, but how to actually change them.
In a way that feels good. Yeah.
And it feels empowering.
It is.
Yeah.
The real power of this book, it gives us a practical toolkit for changing our lives, one tiny habit at a time.
Love it. But there's so much more to explore, right?
Oh, yeah. So much more.
We've got those keys to change. We've decoded the habit loop. We know our environment matters.
But there's more.
But there's even more.
There is.
Stay tuned for part 2, everyone. We'll unlock even more secrets to lasting change.
I can't wait. Welcome back.
Back for more Atomic Habits insights.
You know, one thing that really stood out to me in this book,
What's that?
it's how much James Clear focuses on, like, the mental side of changing habits.
Oh, yeah. It's not just about, taking the steps.
It's not, no.
It's also about your mindset.
Exactly. Your thoughts, your beliefs, they all play a huge role.
So what are some mental strategies we can use, like, to really make those positive habits stick?
One that's really interesting is called habit stacking.
Habit stacking. Okay, I like the sound of that.
It's about using habits you already have, ones that are automatic,
Okay.
and using those to create new ones. We're creatures of routine, right?
We are.
And this strategy really uses that to our advantage.
So give me an example. How does this habit stacking work?
Think about something you do every day without fail.
Like brushing my teeth.
Exactly. Or making coffee.
Yep, every morning.
Habit stacking is taking that existing routine and basically attaching a new habit right onto it.
Ooh, I see. So if I want to start meditating every day, I could make a rule to meditate for, let's say, 5 minutes.
Right after you brush your teeth.
Right after I brush my teeth. Okay, so you're linking the new habit to something I already do.
Exactly. It's like a built-in reminder.
No more forgetting or trying to find the time.
Exactly. It just becomes part of your flow.
I love that. So what other mental tricks does Clear talk about?
Another good one is implementation intentions.
Implementation intentions. That sounds a bit,
Jargony?
a little bit. What does it actually mean?
It means getting really specific with your plan, like when and where you'll do the habit.
Okay, I think I need an example for this one.
So let's say your goal is just exercise more. Vague, right?
Very vague.
An implementation intention would be every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm going for a 30-minute walk at lunchtime in the park.
Oh, okay. So you're taking that fuzzy idea and making it a concrete action.
Exactly. No more wondering when you'll do it. It's already decided.
I like that. It takes away that decision fatigue
It does. And it helps prevent procrastination.
because you've already made the decision.
Right.
But what about those times when we just don't feel like it? Like our motivation dips and we want to give up? How do we deal with that?
That's where temptation bundling comes in.
Temptation bundling. That sounds intriguing.
It's a way to make those not-so-fun tasks a little more enjoyable.
Okay, tell me more.
Is there something you really love doing?
Oh, tons of things.
Something that feels like a treat?
Like listening to a specific podcast
There you go.
or watching my favorite show.
Perfect.
Maybe a long bath.
So temptation bundling is linking that pleasurable activity to something you need to do, but might not always want to do.
So if I only let myself listen to that podcast while I'm exercising,
Exactly.
I'm basically using the thing I want to do as a reward for doing the thing I should do.
You got it. It's like a little bribe for your brain, making that necessary task more appealing.
I love that. So simple, but brilliant.
Right. But we also have to remember that even with all these strategies,
Yeah.
we're going to mess up sometimes.
We're human. It happens.
It does. And Atomic Habits talks about this too. It's about being kind to yourself.
Self-compassion. We talked about that earlier.
Exactly. It's about having a growth mindset.
So when we slip up, it's not about beating ourselves up
No, it's about learning from it.
and moving on.
Yes. So you missed a workout, you had that extra slice of cake. Analyze it. What happened?
Figure out why you went off track
Exactly. And then use that information to adjust.
so you can do better next time.
Maybe you need to change your environment
Strengthen those implementation intentions.
or find a more motivating reward.
It's like turning those mistakes into opportunities.
Exactly. It's a continuous process of improvement, not about being perfect.
It's about getting better over time.
Yes. Celebrate the wins, learn from the stumbles, and keep going.
I love that. This whole conversation has been so eye-opening. Atomic Habits really gives us the tools to take control of our lives.
It does. And it's all about those small, consistent changes.
One habit at a time.
Right.
And it feels empowering knowing we can actually design our lives in a way that aligns with what we want.
It is empowering. It's not about those drastic overnight changes.
It's about those little improvements we make day after day.
Exactly. The ones that lead to big results over time.
But those small changes, they don't have to be a solo mission, right? There's something else Atomic Habits talks about that I find really interesting.
What's that?
The role of community.
Yeah.
And social influence.
Oh, that's a big one. People often forget that aspect.
Yeah, we tend to think of habits as these individual things.
We do, but we're not solitary creatures.
Right, we're social beings.
We are. And the people around us, they influence us more than we realize.
So it's not just about willpower, it's also about the people we surround ourselves with.
It is. Think about it. If all your friends are really into healthy living, going on hikes, cooking healthy meals.
You're more likely to do those things too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if your friends are all about takeout and Netflix every night,
It's going to be harder to resist.
it will be. It's like that saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
I've heard that one. So basically, our habits tend to mirror those of our friends and family.
They do. We're always picking up cues from our environment, especially from people we admire.
So if you really want to change your habits, it's important to look at your social circle too.
It is, yeah. Find people who support you, who encourage you.
People who get it.
Exactly.
I can't wait to dive deeper into this in part 3.
Me neither. We'll talk about finding your tribe, leveraging accountability, and building a support system that helps you reach your goals.
It's all about connection. Stay tuned, everyone. We're back. Ready to wrap up our Atomic Habits deep dive.
Let's do it.
We've talked about small changes, the science behind habits, even mindset, but now let's talk about community.
It's a huge part of this. Atomic Habits really emphasizes that.
It's something people don't always think about, right? Like how our social circles affect our habits.
Exactly. We think of habits as these, personal things.
Right, like it's all on us.
But we're wired to be social.
So the people around us, they really do make a difference.
A bigger difference than we realize.
Okay, so give me an example of how this works.
Imagine all your friends are super into healthy living.
Okay, they're always hiking, eating healthy food.
Right. You're more likely to pick up those habits yourself just by being around them.
But if your friends are all about ordering pizza and watching TV,
It's going to be harder to resist that, right?
it's true. It's like that whole, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with idea.
Exactly. We subconsciously pick up habits from the people around us, especially the ones we look up to.
So if we're serious about changing our habits, we need to look at who we're hanging out with.
It's a good place to start, yeah.
Yeah.
Find people who are supportive, who want you to succeed.
Find your tribe, basically.
Yeah, people who share your values. It makes the whole journey a lot easier.
It's like having a built-in cheering squad, especially for those times when things get tough.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's like having that extra boost of motivation.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel less alone in the process.
Now, Atomic Habits talks about specific ways we can use this community power, right?
It does, yeah. One thing Clear recommends is joining a group where the habit you want, it's already the norm.
Oh, that's interesting. Give me an example.
So let's say you want to start running. Join a running club.
Where everyone's already a runner.
Yeah, you'll feel like you belong. And you'll be more likely to stick with it.
Because everyone around you is doing it, it's like built-in accountability.
Exactly. And even if you can't find a group in person, there are online communities.
Forums, social media groups, things like that.
Right. Find those like-minded people, the ones who get it.
Who understand what you're going through.
Yeah, who can offer support and encouragement.
It makes me think of that quote. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Love that quote. It's so true. That social support, it can make a huge difference, especially when you're trying to make long-term changes.
Well, we've covered a lot in this deep dive.
We have.
From the science to the mindset to the importance of community, it's amazing how these tiny changes can add up.
They really can. It's powerful stuff.
So as we wrap up, what's one big takeaway you want our listeners to remember from Atomic Habits?
I think the biggest thing is never underestimate the power of small actions done consistently.
It's not about those big dramatic changes.
It's not. It's about those little things we do every day.
The tiny habits that over time build up to something amazing.
Exactly. Just like atoms, they're small, but they're powerful.
Love that. So remember, everyone, embrace those small wins, find your people, and keep building those atomic habits.
You've got this.